Hey to everyone out there watching, it's JT from Keystone Crew Outdoors. Welcome back to Northeastern Pennsylvania's #1, that's right, #1 fantasy fishing show. Each tournament the crew seems to grow. We've expanded by 2 or 3 members each event, which is a good thing. I'd like more people, so sign up if you want. Remember, there's prizes out there for each tournament and for overall winners at the end from Bassmaster and their sponsors. So there's still just time to sign up and see if you can beat me. Admittedly, that's not super hard because I go with my gut picks. But see if you can beat the Keystone Cruise page. My wife Katie's killing it. She keeps taking our picks and going with them. I'm here to give you a recap for Rapala Fantasy Fishing for the Bassmaster Classic and make my picks and predictions for the upcoming stop on the Elite Series, the Santee Cooper Lakes, Clarendon County, South Carolina, from March 17th to March 20th. Let's get into a recap of the Bassmaster Classic. Every one of the Keystone Crew's picks made it to the final day. So if you went with our research picks, you probably had a decent tournament. Only 3 of my gut picks made it to the final day. Bucket A continues to haunt me. Brandon Cobb, he was the odds-on favorite. He ended up with a 34th place on his home lake and not making the cut line for day 3. Here's a rundown of my picks from last event and what a perfect roster would have looked like. So my gut picks were Brandon Cobb. He finished 34th. Stetson Blaylock finished 3rd. Buddy Gross finished 20th. Brian New finished 9th. And KJ Queen finished 48th. Here's the research picks that the Keystone Crew picked. We had Jason Christie, #1, so we picked the winner. Gerald Swindle had 24th place. Scott Martin came in at 19th place. Brian New had a 9th place finish. And Joey Nanya had 13th place. If you picked a perfect roster, it would have looked something like this. Stetson Blaylock with the 3rd place. Taco Ito with the 7th place. Jason Christie with the 1st place. Luke Palmer with the 6th, and Kyle Welcher with the 2nd. My weight was a little off, but close. I said 49.8, and the winning weight was 54 even. My gut picks for this one, these are the picks I made when the buckets came out without any research or really looking at anything. I have Bucket A, Stetson Blaylock, currently owned by 17.9%. Bucket B, Drew Benton, currently owned by 1.6%. Bucket C, Jason Christie, currently owned by 29.6%. And Bucket D, I have Jonathan Kelley, because he's from Northeastern Pennsylvania, and I feel like we got to send him some love here. He's currently owned at 0.4%. And Bucket E, I have Carl Jocumsen with 12.3% owned. So let's get into my actual research-based picks. Once again, I power rank the picks from the Bass Pundits, different articles I read, and videos I watch. From the picks, I formulate my top 2 or 3 in each bucket, and let's jump right into it. Bucket A. I have Cory Johnston as my #1 ranked angler in this. He's owned by 5.5%. When you think of the Johnston brothers, you typically think smallmouth. They're not going to be fishing for smallmouth in this tournament, but they're also pretty good sight fishermen, and I think that's going to be a huge play here. So I'm going with Cory Johnston as my pick from Bucket A. Follow-up anglers who I think might have good tournaments are John Cox, owned by 20.5%. He was going to be my pick here, but he's fishing a different tournament circuit and could have to drive all night to get to the event. He didn't have any practice on the lake. I expect him to be tired and the whole no practice thing. I think he'll have a good showing still, but I just don't have him ranked as my top from Bucket A. Another honorable mention I'll go with is Scott Canterbury. He's owned by 4.4%, and I just feel like he's going to do well there. Once again, though, my gut pick, the one who I'm actually picking, is Stetson Blaylock with 17.9%. Bucket B, I have my top-ranked angler, Patrick Walters. He's the hometown favorite. He's finished 11th here in 2020. He's owned by 30.3%. Following it up, I'm a little sour on him, but Greg Hackney, he's owned by 15%. He's also had good showings here in the past. Ever since I've been picking him, though, this year, he's tanked a few times. He's someone who's better than his showings are from this year, so I think you could be confident with that pick. My gut pick, though, was Drew Benton, owned 1.6%. I'm going to stick with that. Bucket C, I have Chris Johnston. He's my number one pick here in C for the same reason his brother was in Bucket A. They're good sight fishermen, so why not double down? One of them's bound to have a good showing, so I think you could confidently pick the Johnston brothers to have good showings here. My second-ranked angler in Bucket C is KJ Queen. He didn't have the showing that we would have liked him to have at the Classic, especially since I picked him. But he's still from the Carolinas, and I think he should bounce back with the sight fishing in play. Lee Livesay is another angler who I think you should look at. He has a 9.9% own percentage. He always seems to fish for the big ones instead of just, strictly going for the limits. He's more about quality than quantity. So maybe he puts together some monster bags in this one. On to Bucket D. Bucket D, I have Brock Mosley. He's currently owned by 15.1%. And he's my top-ranked angler here in Bucket D. He knows how to fish the cypress trees. There's going to be cypress trees in play here. I have my second-ranked angler in this bucket as Clark Wendlandt, owned by 6.9%. He was 2020's Angler of the Year. And then I have Luke Palmer because he's pretty consistent overall. Several top 30s, top 20s, and top 10 finishes. And he's currently owned by 13.7%. My pick, though, like I said, I have to go with our hometown boy, Jonathan Kelley from northeastern Pennsylvania. He's my gut pick, 0.4% owned. He had that nice 7-pound bass in the first tournament of the year. And, there's big fish, so maybe he keeps that going. I've been watching his socials, and he's been catching some nice fish. So let's hope that he does well and makes NEPA proud in this one. Bucket E, I have Hunter Shryock, currently owned by 9% out there. I feel like he's due for a good showing. Then I have Kyle Welcher as my second pick here in Bucket E. He's the favorite from this bucket. 32.5% of the people playing out there own him. He had a second place finish at the Classic, so maybe he keeps the good vibes going. Stephen Kennedy is another one that you might want to look at. He's got a higher owned percentage as well at 20.7%. If you want to gamble, you might want to go with him. He's all or nothing. He's had decent showings here in the past, though, so this is probably a good time to pick him, actually. I'm always very tempted to pick him. My brother's a huge Auburn fan, and Steve Kennedy's an Auburn guy, so I always want to pick him. My pick, though, is Carl Jocumsen, 12.3%. That's my gut pick. I'm sticking with it. For tie-breaking weight, I'm going with 92 pounds, 3 ounces. I want to say we're hitting the century mark here, but I don't want to get too excited. Every time that I pick a big bag limit, I seem to be off. I do think this is the one that it's going to be there, but I'm being a little more conservative. 92.3 on this one. All right, so to recap, my gut picks. Bucket A, Stetson Blaylock. Bucket B, Drew Benton. Bucket C, Jason Christie. Bucket D, Jonathan Kelley. Bucket E, Carl Jocumsen. They're my gut picks. They're the ones that I'm picking for my actual, I guess you'd call it, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a bracket, but my buckets, they're the ones I'm picking. My research picks, Keystone Crew picks. These are ones that my wife's going to pick probably on these. Cory Johnston, Pat Walters. Bucket C, I have Chris Johnston. I have Bucket D, Brock Mosley. Bucket E, Hunter Shryock. So that brings us to the Mercury Drain the Lake. Drain the Lake's an elimination style game. We've used 20 plus anglers already, so if you've used them, you've burned them. You can't use them again. So it's getting a little bit tougher to pick, and each week I feel like it gets tougher. It should be easier, but if you strategize and you keep certain guys and everything, it could be tougher, because in the beginning you kind of just want to get off to a good start. You pick all these really good anglers, and then you're kind of scratching and scraping for who to pick here. But I have my 8 anglers here are Matt Airy, Todd Outen, Stetson Blaylock, Carl Jocumsen, Luke Palmer, KJ Queen, Gerald Swindell, and Clark Wendlet. Thanks for watching. If you still want to join, there's prizes for every tournament given away by Bassmaster, their sponsors, as well as the many other groups out there that you can join. So there's still time to sign up. As Keystone Crew grows, maybe we can add prizes to ours instead of just, the bragging rights that we have. I know most of the people in our group, so it's kind of fun to banter back and forth with them. Remember, you can sign up on bassmasterfantasy.com and just search the groups for Keystone Crew. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. Catch you next time.